we're ready. We could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I will bring up George's bill for review.
Mr. Cleaver, are we going to do roll call?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Sorry, Ms. Karpowitz. Thank you, Ms. Bentley.
Sure. Mr. Richard Belts? Mr. Richard Belts? Absent. Ms. Rita Spinelli?
Here.
Mr. Nathan Fuller?
Present.
Present.
And myself.
Okay, you can see here in front of you, you have George's bill for the month of October. We did black out one of the lines because accidentally a student's name did appear on there. So that's what that is that you see. Is there any questions for George's bill? It's a little more this month. Last month, I believe, was around 88. This month is 99. There are more days, of course. That's the reason. I believe last month there was 17. This month there was 21 for the average daily run. In addition, we did start today with the AM pickup. I did touch base with Mr. George. I said it went very well. Timing was well, and there was approximately 10 students for each run.
It's all good news.
All right. So if there's no questions, we'll go back to the agenda.
Okay. Yep. No questions on this bill for me.
Nor me.
Okay. You may have seen the article that came through on Cyber Charter School for the PSB or PSBA and PASBO. Actually, the article was from PASBO, but it came through the PSBA daily edition that we get. And I know we talked a little bit at length last meeting regarding cyber charter school payments, and I didn't know. I'd like forward this to the board. I'm pretty sure the majority of the board does get the articles on them, but it was important, I thought, to see some of the information related to this article. They're estimating that $475 million, there will be an increase in charter school tuition predicted for the 2021 school year. Overall, they're estimating that the overall payments is approximately $2.76 billion in 2021. About 125 million of this increase is not related to new enrollment. It is based upon the tuition rate and the calculation that they use. So it's an increase in the tuition rate to 125 million. However, they are projecting that school districts are planning to pay approximately 350 million or more in tuition because of the increased enrollment in cyber charter schools this year of approximately 24,000 students. In the article, you could actually go through and break it down by county. So for example, Carbon County, there's an estimated 172 students increased enrollment for this year. So just for Carbon County districts alone, now it's not broken down by district. Of course, it's broken down by county, and it's an estimate. It's about $2.92 million increase just for school districts in Carbon County. And there's only, several of us. So it's pretty easy to do the math when you look at it that way. So I think that's an important thing. And I know we talk a lot about it, I know there's several resolutions out there calling for cyber charter school reform. And this is one of the reasons why, we feel that it's important that they really take a hard look at this in the future because it is really, skyrocketing. Again, it's not about them offering the program, it's about the cost that it's costing the school districts and the taxpayers. So is there any questions, any additional questions on cyber charter school payments and the article? I believe, is that correct, Ms. Fidelli and Mr. Fuller, that you do get the articles for the PSB?
Yes.
Yes, yep.
Yes.
I can get it. Now, did you mention that not only is the enrollment to cyber charter schools increasing, but also the rate at which we pay them is increasing?
Yes, the cost is increasing as well. Then there's also a cost broken down over the summer too with this. And the fact is, if you don't pay them, they get it by holding your basic ed subsidy to state the following year. So there's really, other than disagreeing, there may be a student that we feel we're getting charged for that no longer lives in our district, or that we feel wasn't in attendance there. Really, they're getting this allotted amount of money no matter what districts are doing.
And I think that's what the whole charter reform thing is about. Everybody thinks we're trying to get rid of charter schools. Not at all.
No.
We're trying to make it a fair playing field and realize that, parents say the money follows the child. Yes, it does. But if the money to follow them to a cyber charter school is more than the money that we can do it for in our own district, that leaves a great disparity between the money that we can spend on our kids and the money that we can spend for kids who choose to go otherwise. Certainly everyone has the right to go wherever they want, but it's the fairness that's in question.
Yes, and that's what a lot of the reform is based on the cost, not the availability of going to these other schools. Okay. I'll turn it over to Joe to just give a budget update discussion. Again, to give you an idea of the timeline and what we're working at to get things together to move forward as we're beginning to prepare now for the 21-22 budget cycle. So Joe, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, and thanks, JJ. And if I could first just add a little bit of 2 cents to that previous conversation about cyber school. Also, one way that I've looked at it, and when we say the money follows the child, if you think about, just take, using an example, 10 students who opt to come back to the district from charter school. Well, if you take that money that you're sending to the charter school, the rate times 10 students, many times those 10 students, though, that's money you wouldn't spend when they come back because you can just integrate them back into the school district. So sometimes the misconception is, well, does it matter whether you spend the money here in the district or whether you're paying the charter school? Well, in cases like that, if it wasn't for the charter school and those students came back, we could, again, just integrate them into the school system and without any additional costs. That's always, kind of an explanation that where, the payment to the cyber charter does cost the district at times more than it would cost them to be educating that student. Just a little bit of my experience and take on the cost of the cyber charter. To the budget, I just wanted to mention, in talking with Superintendent Cleaver, kind of 2 items. I mean, the budget process really is probably something at a minimum 9 out of 12 months of the year you think about. But if you just look forward real quick, 2 items that I think that are important besides putting together some preparation timeline and starting to get the process rolling of getting information and gathering it. At the end of December, the district will be required to send out their farmstead applications, and those applications go out every year, and those are for the taxpayers currently on the rolls who are not availing themselves to the homestead farmstead. So since they're not currently availing themselves to that, send them the application. this gives them the opportunity that if a situation has changed or whatever the case may be, this is their chance to submit the application in a timely manner. Talked a little bit about that when I first came to the office, and that's something that we do handle internally with the tax people. But that's one of the things coming up in the steps that by December 31st. So those applications will go out. The other bigger item right now is the passing of the Act 1 resolution. Act 1 is what was passed a number of years ago, which via formulas that are put up by the PDE, there's a determination of the cap as far as what the district could raise their millage. And every year that number will change as the information that goes into the formula changes. They do have that Act 1 index out currently for Lehighton. It's 4.2%. Which probably translates into a little better than 2 mills. But to take part of that, there is a timeline that I strongly suggest. Although it's January, I suggest that in December, and we can put that resolution together just to document that the district is passing a resolution, that they're abiding by the Act 1 rules and the Act 1 timeline, and will not exceed the Act 1 index that the state has set for the district. So that's really, in my opinion, the next thing that's on the horizon from a board passing item, certainly. And then what that does is that, once you pass that resolution, you are into the timeline of, hey, by June 30th of 2021, you've got to pass your budget. By May 30th of 2021, you have to have your proposed budget ready. But that's that window of right after the new year where, you'll have those months to start accumulating the information for the budget.
Okay.
I think that's the resolution certainly is the thing that's, not pressing, but that'll be the thing that I would expect we would put on the agenda for December to pass that resolution.
Gotcha.
Before I turn it over to the attendees, is there any questions from the panelists on the committee?
Nothing more for me.
I just have a question. So basically, Joe, we're on track you have us on track to meet the deadlines that we have to meet with budget projections and also looking at where we stand financially.
Yeah, the bigger thing is the budget thing. These couple things that have to be required, and then start to get the timeline. I am looking at the financial stuff. I think I'll get a better handle on that as I return and can get access. I've got a list of questions, but yeah, I think we are sitting here in a better situation. Certainly, I think internally and from conversations with JJ and the people, there's a lot of conversation that goes on about the finances of the district in terms of, bills and things of that nature, making sure everything is correct and appropriate. So yeah, listen, it's an ongoing process, but certainly in my opinion, you're on the right path. Obviously working on that goal of bringing on full-time business manager, full-time staff, that'll go a long way. But yeah, you're back on the right track is what I would say.
Thank you.
Anything else? We'll go to the attendees. Mr. Bradley?
Yes, I had my hand raised earlier about this George's transportation. Can you put that bill back up for a second?
Yes. Are you able to see that?
Yep. So we're all eager about maintaining privacy of students, and therefore the redaction is necessary and needed, which we respect. What software did we use to redact that name from this bill? I know that the board approved redaction software, or at least looking into it and getting it. What was used to do this redaction?
Sharpie fine point.
So we don't have the...
We do not have redaction software.
All right, and you agree that it's important to redact these names?
I'm sorry, was that Mr. Bradley?
We all agree it's important to redact these names?
We make a good faith effort to do all the redaction that is necessary, yes.
Okay, So, and the goal is to not be able to read the information once it's redacted. Is that correct? The goal of redaction is to not be able to read it once it's redacted. Is that correct? I'm not getting an answer to that. The goal of a redaction is to be able to not read the information that has been redacted. Is that correct? No response. Okay. I can tell you that I can read that name on my screen currently. I don't think the Sharpie's working for you. I think that we need to be able to get the right redaction software that the board authorized so we can protect the privacy of these students.
Thank you for that notification.
Did you know you could read it? Did you know you could read it? Did anyone check or double check that at all? No? Okay.
On yours, you must have a different. I'm unable to read it, but
It's okay. No problem. So let's move on to the next thing. The charter school,
but thank you, Mr. Bradley, for that notification.
You're welcome. Yeah, we should get the redaction software. That's great. So onto the charter school situation. It's my understanding that charter schools are part of the school district, part of the school governance, and it's our board's responsibility to not only authorize each and every charter, but it's also, they're under our jurisdiction. So I don't see why we're not supporting and helping those other schools within our district that are educating our students. I don't think there should be any.
They are not under our
animosity.
jurisdiction.
They are charter schools are within the jurisdiction of our district, correct?
Not charter schools. Charter schools are not. We have no charter schools in this district, correct, Mr. Cleaver?
That is correct. Our students that attend cyber charters are different. If they attend a brick and mortar charter school, it would be within the jurisdiction of where that building resides, whether it be down in Lehigh County or there's some in some other areas, but depending on that district would have jurisdiction over that.
But these are still public cyber schools, public charter schools, correct? Public schools?
Yes, they're public. Yes, that is correct.
And then the last thing is you're looking at the budget update and discussion. Joe, could you please explain to this board or to this government the importance of doing the AFR no later than October 31st? Because it's November 9th and I did not get a copy of the annual financial report under Section 218 of the Pennsylvania School Code, where it requires it to be done no later than the 31st of October. Now, this would be for data ending June 30th of 2020, which would have been a couple months ago. And the data wouldn't really change. It's just we got to make sure we file this report. How come it has not been filed at this time? Have you not been given the information? Has this administration not provided the information? Has the administration not have this information so that it can be filed in a timely manner?
No, I can respond to that.
Thanks.
Yeah, actually, and you were correct that the initial filing would be due October 31st. While there is an extension for that, 30 days to November 30th. And I can tell you that in my career, also by asking for written extension, I've had extensions go as far as December 15th and December 31st. DFR right now is part of the audit process, getting that completed. And that's part of what goes into, completing the AFR.
Correct. Our district has been lax in the past. We have ours, last one was dated March, which is incredibly late. And the fine subject to not doing this on time is upwards of $300 per day. So we want to make sure we don't file this thing late. I know you're jumping in here the best you can with what we have, and you take, according to our hierarchy, your boss is the administration, and the administration's boss is this board and this financial committee. Is there anything that you do not have to be able to help complete this in a timely fashion?
As of this moment, no. I do need to have further discussion with the auditors to see where they are. And I would you're correct. That is the potential, I think, I'm not sure the exact wording, but, there's a potential that they could fine you up to 300 days for being late.
Yeah, $300 per day for being late.
I'm sorry, $300 per day.
Thank you very much. And as far as the budget goes, we as a board of directors have not received any information regarding the budget for next year currently, and it's going to be coming up very soon. We have the one end of the year, but looking forward with COVID, looking forward with the receipt of taxes, these updates should be done on a monthly basis. The amount of information we're provided here in this financial committee meeting is negligible. No reports, no information, no updates. We didn't see anything yet. Has it been given to other directors that we're not seeing?
Mr. Bradley, there's been no information given to board members that other board members budget-wise have not had. So we have not had anything presented to them regarding the budget. Anything that you have is presented at the board meetings.
Yeah. So we're already several months into this year. We already have the COVID situation in other areas. We should be keeping an eye on our budget on a monthly basis, or this government should be doing that. The fact that we are not, we don't want to get spanked again by the Auditor General.
Mr. Bradley, you get complete bank statements to see exactly what is within all of the district's financial areas.
Within reason, correct. That tells you the amount of money.
No, they are complete bank statements, not within reason. They're everything that you could possibly see or question, you have information on. So please don't
bank statement,
make statements that says you're not getting, you are getting more information, I'm willing to bet, right now than any other school district probably in the state of Pennsylvania, with the getting to see actual bank statements, checks that are in and cleared and everything else. So you receive a lot of information.
I agree, we receive a lot, and bank statements are important, and I'm so glad you guys finally came around to lawful transparency. But what we're talking about, Mr. Cleaver, and I'm really speaking to the committee, is the government agents in this meeting. The bank statement, whereas it is important to understand what money comes into the district and what money's going out, one of the things that does not take place within the auditing process closely, and it's our responsibility as directors, is to understand why each check in that bank statement is written, not necessarily just whether or not it was written and to which department it's being assigned to. The goal of reducing expenses, reducing corruption, reducing waste would be a function of understanding why each payment was made. I think Joe has some experience back in the Jim Thorpe days where some expenditures were made and they were assigned, but not necessarily allocated properly. And then at the same time, maybe they weren't incurred properly. I think we have some of those issues within our district, according to the Auditor General, and therefore it should be reviewed not only to see the information as one piece of the puzzle, but you also have to look at each expenditure that took place. And we're still missing payroll documents and other information that this district has not been provided to this board. And it's the board's information. We give it to the administration. We shouldn't have to beg, ask, or plead to get it back. And the fact that we're not getting accurate payroll statements and ensuring that each payment that's being made is being made due an employee for services provided, to each contractor for services provided in accordance with those contracts. That should be done on a monthly basis. And I think that that's still missing. And that's one of the reasons why the payment of bills has been a consternation for these several months, if not several years, that someone's finally trying to hold this government accountable. I think it's time that this committee recognizes that that information is not being provided to its board and should do a better job of providing it. End of statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I would like to hear the
Ms. Bose?
But I would like to hear the government's answer on
I had a
that.
couple of comments on the cyber charter costs. My understanding of how that's paid is it's approximately 70% of what the actual physical school, the district spends to educate a child. Is that correct?
I I am not 100. I don't know if Joe, if you have any more. I don't know that that's exactly. I know there's a funding formula, but I don't know that it's divided that way.
Well, it works out according to the funding formula from the research I've done to approximately 70% of what the district spends to educate a child. So the district is retaining approximately 30% and paying out 70%. The other question I have is on the George's bill, does that include the charges for gas? For fuel?
That the gas is all part of the contract, so that is part of the formula for the payment. So that is all we're paying for right now. In the contract with George, there's an escalation and de-escalation cost for it. So that there's no separate bill that charges the district for gas unless the gas prices would go, sky high.
Okay, so I mean, then the cost for fuel are included in
Yes,
the bills we're seeing.
yes.
Okay, one other comment. I don't know who makes up the agenda, but at the bottom of the agenda, what I'm surmising here is you're using a previous agenda and just putting in the information. It says that the next meeting is on November 9th. I would like whoever actually makes the agendas to read all the way to the bottom, make sure that's corrected too, please.
Thank you. Okay, I'll turn it back over to the committee. We have no other comment. Yes, Mr. Fuller, I'll turn it back over to the committee.
Okay, nothing else from me, so I'd make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.
You too.